His overthrow was what you call the massacre of St. John Bosco. St. John Bosco happened to be the church where President Aristide was a priest. That was an outrage. Both the international community and the Haitians, you know, were shocked that the army will do that in a church. You know. So because of that outrage, Namfi was overthrown by, you know, at that time they say it was a group of non-commissioned officers. But actually the brain behind that coup was Lieutenant General Prosper Avril. Avril had been a very close confidant of the Duvaliers. Actually, Avril was the person who kept their accounts, their financial accounts of the Duvaliers. So Avril took over as president. Avril's regime was no better than Namfi's or others, you know, even though he was very shrewd. The basic human rights violations that were in Haiti continued under Avril. Well, Avril was forced out, you know, by international outcry and through U.S. pressure. He went into exile in Miami and was succeeded by a provisional president, Pascal Etat Trujillo, who was a Supreme Court judge. Trujillo was actually the person who sat in place and oversaw the elections that culminated in Aristide's election. Actually, Aristide had opposed elections because he said all elections in Haiti had always been fraudulent. There's no need people going to waste their time, you know, voting, knowing fully well that the election would not be honored. Well, in October that year, in 1990, the people forced Aristide to go in and run, you know, for president of Haiti, which he did. Surprisingly, he won. You know, nobody thought he would win with 2 months left, you know, for the elections in December. So Aristide was sworn in, you know, as president in February 1991. What is ironic about the present situation is that actually the man who oversaw the elections, that made the elections free and fair, was Lieutenant General Raoul Cedras, who was a colonel in the army at that time. First, Cedras was the person who oversaw the elections. You know, that was why Aristide promoted him over all other officers to Lieutenant General and acting army commander, actually when he was still acting army commander.
And he is the commander who is in charge today, is he?
Precisely. That's what's ironic about it. He oversaw the free and fair election. That you know, he could have messed up the election. He oversaw it that it was free and fair. And to repay him for that, Aristide promoted him over every other officer to Lieutenant General, acting commander of the army. In fact, when I was driving down to Knoxville last year with the Haitian ambassador, and we were discussing, he said, well, he said, you know, I worked with Cedras, the ambassador, Jean Casimir, he was the chairman of the Electoral Commission. He said, you know, I worked with Cedras, and every time when we sit down, he would be telling me, look, this is a no-win situation for me. If Aristide wins, you know, the aristocracy and the powerful business will be mad at me. They will say, you let this man win. If he loses, the international community will accuse me of manipulating the election so he wins. He said, well, I'm in no-win situation. I just don't know what to do, you know. So that tells you his thinking, the way he felt. But actually, he did, you know, he did exactly what everybody expected him to do, was do the right thing, you know, let the best person win. That's how, you know, we came to this situation. Now, when Aristide became president, the first thing he did was tell the business community that they have to pay their fair share of taxes. Because in Haiti, you don't know, people do not pay taxes. I can tell that probably almost everybody doesn't pay taxes. Even those who make $1 million a year don't even pay. Exactly. You know, so that's the first thing he did. He said, you have to start paying your own fair share of taxes. Now, that's the way we develop this country. You can make money and put it back. Secondly, you have to start paying workers their fair share in wages, both locally owned companies and foreign-owned companies.
Some of those foreign-owned companies are paying the same. Now, what are some of the justifications, Dr. Madu, for foreign-owned companies to pay such low wages as national companies?
Well, it's the same thing we are going through now. You know, when some of these companies go to El Salvador, Nicaragua or so, they go over there and pay people $2 a day, not an hour. When here you have $4.50 an hour. So because of that cheap labor, they manufacture those things cheaper there and sell it at the same price they will sell it here, so they make a lot of money. Okay? So when Aristide came in, he said, look, some of you foreign companies have to start paying our people the right wages, you know, not give them $1 and then sell that product for $20. That's exploitation, you know, so that's what I want. And then when he made those kind of statements, and they knew that's what he was coming to, the business community started getting very worried about him. Already
not so sure of him at that
exactly. Already they distrusted him before he became president. Now when he became president, you know, and said all those things, it was even worse. You know, so that opened a big gap between him and the business community. But the catalyst really to his overthrow came after he came back from New York. He had gone to New York in September to speak at the United Nations. When he got back at the airport, he made a statement which in a way could be interpreted as a threatening, even if you hear that statement yourself, you know. He made a statement saying that he has given the business community a week or so for them to comply.
By to pay taxes and
every other thing, you know, he has said otherwise. And those people interpreted as meaning he's going to unleash the mob against them to, you know, start killing and do whatever they want to, and, you know...
the haves against the have-nots.
Exactly, exactly. Carry out what they call the chukage. That means tire lynching. You know, they put tire on your neck and put, you know, kerosene or petrol and burn you alive, that kind of thing. So that's what they felt. So that night, really, that's when the army moved against him. And even when the coup was in process, Aristide had called the American embassy and the French ambassador, and they said, well, nothing is happening. But as soon as, you know, he kept down that phone, the army moved, arrested him. And in fact, he told me that when they arrested him, they said, well, some people say, well, let's kill him right now. And some said, no, let's leave him. He's still our president. Let's just take him to the airport, put him in a plane. And those who wanted him alive won. But there are people who wanted to kill him right there.
Right at that particular point.
That's right. And he said, well, he called...